welcome to In and Around St. Johnsbury. I'm Susan Cherry, and we're so pleased today in our studio. We have Gretchen Boswell, and we have Gillian Sewake. Both of us, they're going to talk with us today about the Vermont Welcome Wagon. So welcome today to our welcome studio.
Yes, indeed.
So Gretchen, we just started talking a little bit before the camera went on. What got you involved with St. Johnsbury, and what brought you to the area? Just a little bit about you.
Yeah, my name's Gretchen, and I actually live in Peacham, but I frequent St. Johnsbury very often. And came to the area about 3 years ago and got involved with especially the Northeast Kingdom as a whole, being a part of the Northeast Kingdom Young Professionals Network, which actually Gillian's husband as well was integral in getting rolling again back in the early, I guess it was around 2011 or so.
That sounds right.
Something like that. Yeah. So I am helping the Northeast Kingdom Young Professionals Network with admin and communications work, as well as managing the Vermont Welcome Wagon project, which started in Chittenden County. And we'll talk a little bit more about that.
All right, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, we're so glad to have you with us today. And Jill, returning back to the area, you're a familiar face to a lot of folks who did musical theater and watched that at the Academy, so it's just really fun to reconnect with you. So introduce yourself to the folks who are watching who might not know you.
Sure, I'm Gillian Sewake. I grew up in the Waterford area, went to St. Johnsbury Academy, and then left for about 6 years, lived in Brooklyn, went to school in the New York City area, and came back to the area with my husband. I also live in Peacham now, and am wearing a lot of different hats, raising a family with my husband, and
Wonderful.
just enjoying being back.
The Young Professionals Network. Before we get into the Vermont Welcome Wagon, just a little bit about what that is and what you hope to achieve.
Yeah, so the Young Professionals Network is under the umbrella of the Northeast Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. And so started really, I think it was the president of the board at the time, or somebody who was involved with the Northeast Kingdom Chamber, who kind of got it rolling again. And Jeff Sewake was also a big part of getting the ball rolling on making it an active group again. Recently, I think up until maybe 2017, he was a part of the board of leadership there. And so we're active all across the Northeast Kingdom, in the 3 counties, hosting events, gathering young professionals, offering them support, and just a way to network and develop professional skills, as well as connect socially with other young folks in the area. And it's open to anybody. It's free to be a member. Obviously, young is a relative term. We're all sort of young at heart, and professional is also relative, especially in this rural region. But it's a great group to be a part of and pretty integral in the area.
So Jill, it sounds, I'm just going to stay on that subject just for a second. It sounds like there must have been a gap then, that there would need to be this group forming and getting together. I see this as like right along with some of the state guidelines, like we want to keep our young people here, and many people like you had moved away and are coming back. What is it that what is it about the connection that keeps people engaged with the area? Tell us a little bit about that.
So in terms of the Young Professionals Network specifically?
Young people engage with each other.
So I think Jeff is the best person to speak to what prompted him to connect with the chamber and reinvigorate the group once again. But speaking from my own experience, when I moved back to the area, it was really interesting to me because I'd grown up here. I knew so many people, but I didn't necessarily know anyone in my peer group. I happened to be working in the Montpelier area, and I didn't have any children, so I didn't have any connections with people my age in this area, other than maybe 1 or 2 people that I went to school with who were still sort of around. And just knowing that other people are in that same situation, you might not have a built-in peer group that you can connect with outside of your workplace, outside of your home. It's really great to create some sort of avenue for intentional connection. And
so that's the segue really that I wanted to make to make that connection, because I really see the Vermont Welcome Wagon as as being some kind of a vehicle that's starting to connect people. So what is the Welcome Wagon? I mean, I remember it from years and years and years ago, but it's kind of revitalized again.
Yeah, so it started actually maybe just about 3 years ago in Chittenden County, and it was a program founded by Vermonters, by volunteers who saw this gap, as you said, and as Gillian also alluded to, and inviting and welcoming people to this area, and Vermont as a whole, really, because it started not in the Northeast Kingdom, but has since expanded to our area. And so the intention is really to make it easier for folks who are new to the area to establish those connections, to grow a community, to find activities or access new things that they might not know about or be aware of. And all that through partnering them with a local community member, somebody who's maybe been here for a number of years or grew up here, who has done what Gillian's done, gone away and come back, or someone who really is just looking to, welcome somebody with open arms to be a part of this community and maybe take on a leadership role in something, whatever it may be. But that's the real intention, is that connection.
Yeah, excellent. And so do you work with real estate agents, and how do you get to know people in the area?
Yeah, so part of my role in working for the Northeast Kingdom Young Professionals Network is doing a lot of that outreach and communication part of establishing connections with businesses, employers, large organizations, community partners who can help spread the word about what this program is and that it exists and that it's a really great community resource. And so that's kind of my role, and Gillian's role is actually one of a host. So I'm also a host, but she's really a super host. She's hosted so many people, and you can see she's just a lovely presence to get to know, and also, as she said, she wears a lot of hats, so she knows a lot of different facets of the community within St. Johnsbury, but also beyond. It's finding people like her that's so important to the program.
Tell us what a super host does.
I think a super host just says yes a lot.
Yeah.
So the Young Professionals Network sends out semi-regular emails to all of the hosts with lists of potential connections and their name and a short blurb about where they've come from, what they're interested in, what they want to talk to people about. And then I've just been responding and saying, hey, yeah, connect me to Mark and Meg, who are here from California, or connect me to Evan, who is from Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And then you just have to pursue those email conversations. Those turn into FaceTimes or meeting up on the rail trail for a walk, or we, right before the pandemic, had a really great brunch with some folks who are coming to town. But it's been really great to be able to see so many people that I want to connect with and say, hey, I have something to, I feel like I can connect with this person and help them get to know a little bit more about the area and connect them to some resources to help with particular questions that they're wondering about.
I can see how somebody coming to the area, you're coming because there's a position or a job offer. You kind of already know what you're going to do in that line of work, but how do you engage with community? What kind of government volunteer positions are open? How do you get involved in the community? Those are really things you find out over time. I can see how the linkage, with somebody who's already starting to make those inroads would really help somebody feel like they belong and feel a part of.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's really the overarching mission of the program, is to make somebody feel as if they have a place here and that it's really become home over time. And I think most people, there was a survey done by the Chittenden group, Vermont Welcome Wagon Project, where it started, and most people said that they felt as if it took 9 to 12 months to really feel as if they are a part. And at that point, sometimes young people are actually like, well, 7 months in, I don't really have many friends here. I don't really know where the best place to get my car oil changed is, and I'm having a hard time really integrating the community. I'm actually going to try and find another job somewhere else. And so the goal is to eliminate that from happening, hopefully, by having people who can, show you the way without being too much of a hand holder, but more so just like a friend and resource, especially.
In the work that I do with restorative justice, we're always talking about getting people to feel like they belong. That's kind of part of the, building community and neighborhood associations and gatherings that we try to get together. But I really see that as, you're filling a gap. People who are just coming into the area, they might not know the resources, and you might be looking for people who are already here that would like to connect with folks moving to the area. How do they get in touch with you about this?
Yeah, so the way the process works is, well, there are several ways to get in touch with us, but the Vermont Welcome Wagon email is vtwelcomewagon.org, so you can go to that website and find out about the different chapters, of which there are 3. There's the one in Chittenden, the one here in the Northeast Kingdom, and there's also one now in southern Vermont in the Bennington area. But there are 2 forms to fill out, one for hosts and one for participants. So if somebody wants to be matched with a local person who is a host, they would fill out the participant form, which asks just a few general questions that inform how we put together a bio for our newsletters in order to facilitate matches. And then the host form is also very similar. It's, what resources can you offer to somebody? Where are you living? Try to match people who are in sort of a general, a similar area in order to make stronger connections. But the process is really starting with those 2 forms, host or participant.
Oh, like matchmakers there.
It really is, yeah. It does, some people say it does feel a little bit like online dating in a sense, because, as Gillian did say, it's reading a short bio with very limited information that's personal, just a name and a general location of where you're from or where you have arrived in Vermont, and then a list of some sort of interests, like I'm really interested in learning more about where I can take my dogs. You might suggest Dog Mountain in St. Johnsbury, or anything from volunteer opportunities to where's the community garden to I don't have a laundry machine, where's the closest laundromat, or, things like that, or where can I find gluten-free foods, any myriad of things that can be helpful for people to find out. You can't really research all that stuff in every situation. So the process to go back is really filling out those 2 forms. That information comes to the Northeast Kingdom Young Professionals Network. We take that information, synthesize it into our newsletter, send it out to all the folks who have given us their emails through the forms, so that everybody can reach out any host can reach out if they would like to be matched with a participant.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you have a fun story about, not asking you to mention names, but just something fun that happened as a connection?
I had a really great socially distanced coffee date last week with Devin, who moved to the area in early or mid-January from the Washington area, and moved right at the beginning of the pandemic.
That's so hard.
And so he and the folks that he moved with, are living in the a more rural part of the kingdom, and I was so glad to have a chance to finally connect and get to know him a little bit more, because we had been emailing, but that isn't the best, I think, way to get to know somebody and make connections. So we talked for about an hour. I had Jeff and my kids with me, and they were crawling all over each other, but that's how that goes. And Gretchen knows about this. And so was able to add a couple of resources to his plate that he wasn't aware of, and make some connections. Our friend, also in Peacham, Morgan, walked into the Peacham Cafe while we were chatting, and Devin had just mentioned that he was thinking about homesteading. They were really thinking about like a yak, getting a yak. And Morgan, who owns livestock and is doing the homesteading thing and is looking at getting larger animals as well, was like, oh, well, you got to think about this. Here's what the reasons that I'm choosing dairy cows. And so it was this really fun and fun connection. It was really great also to be able to do that at this sort of home place for me, and to know so many people coming in and to make that organic connection right then and there. It makes me think of when I was growing up, going to church was a big part of our social tradition. On Sunday mornings you would go and you'd have coffee hour and you'd hear from everyone what is happening, and make connections for new events that are taking place around town, like, oh, I really want to go to that, or that isn't a part of my life anymore, and that is something that I definitely noticed when I came back. There wasn't that organic sense of connection and that intentional social connection anymore, and so this builds that. So things like gathering in coffee shops, gathering in breweries, for example. We have owned the brewery downtown St. Johnsbury. The idea is to create that third place, the home, work, then the third place, where to build full social lives for people in this area.
That's a really good reminder for all of our audience, really, to be thinking about that. And you've used the word intentional several times.
Yeah.
I think when we think about, how do we get out and actually be less isolated during this time where we're all carrying our masks and doing what we need to do to keep our neighbors safe and our families safe, but to be intentional about reaching out to others and not only just being available for somebody who needs you, but to realize that reciprocity works both ways. We need each other. And I think this is a great opportunity to allow somebody to say, I want to get out, I'm not sure really what I can be doing, don't have the same social norms that we were having before, don't go to the same places. But this is a great way to actually build that social reciprocity and get out there and meet people.
Yeah, it really is. And I have an anecdote as well from my match. I'm only matched with one person, not a super host, but you don't have to be a super host to participate. My match actually was in the Danville area and has just recently moved to St. Johnsbury and bought a home, which is very exciting, and exactly sort of, she could be like the poster child for the Vermont Welcome Wagon project. That's exactly what we would love to see happen in many cases, is somebody really feel like this is their place and they're prepared to make a big change. But the reciprocity that you're speaking to, Susan, is exactly what I experienced with her, because Hannah and I met and we went for a walk on the socially distanced on the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail near Danville. And I brought her some preserves I'd made that were made with rhubarb, and she was like, oh, I really love a rhubarb plant, so in the spring I'm going to bring her a rhubarb plant that she can put at her new house. And then I helped her move into her new house that's here in St. Johnsbury, and she gave me some beer that she had brewed, and I've never brewed beer before. So it was just cool to also learn from her. We had a conversation more about the process, because I'm not super familiar with home brewing. And she's not familiar with preserving and canning, so it's a great opportunity to also just learn from each other, and an opportunity to gain new skills if you're interested, and if you want to go that route with a match that you might find through the Vermont Welcome Wagon project too.
I love both of your stories. Thank you. That was great. Let's just say one more time, how do they get in touch with you? One more time with the website?
Yeah, the Vermont Welcome Wagon project can be found at vtwelcomewagon.org, or the Northeast Kingdom Young Professionals Network. Since we're facilitating the program, you can also reach out to our Facebook page, which is Northeast Kingdom Young Professionals Network, and just send us a message or sign up to participate in the Young Professionals Network as well, in order to receive even more updates about events that you could go to with the Vermont Welcome Wagon project or as a young professional.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And I do hope that while you're watching today, you'll spread the word, help other people get to know each other, and maybe even be inspired to spend some time with your neighbor. Getting out there and being with each other is so important when it's so easy to isolate. Well, thank you, Jill and Gretchen, for being with us today. And this is Susan Cherry. I really appreciate you being with us today, too. Thanks, and have a great week. Bye-bye.